The evening air outside St. Andrew's Medical Center was heavy with fatigue and the faint smell of disinfectant. Dr. Marcus Hill, a respected trauma surgeon, walked out of hospital after a grueling 16-hour shift. His scrubs were wrinkled, and his ID badge hung loosely around his neck. His car was parked a block away. He carried nothing but his bag and the weight of exhaustion. As he approached his car, headlights swept across him. A police cruiser rolled up fast. 2 white officers stepped out. Their tone was sharp, their eyes suspicious. Hands where we can see them. One barked. Marcus froze, startled. "Officers, I'm Dr. Hill. I just finished my shift at the hospital. My ID is right here." He lifted his badge slowly. The taller officer stepped closer, hand hovering near his gun. "Don't move. What are you doing out here this late?" Marcus's voice tightened. "I work here. I'm walking to my car. That's all." The shorter officer circled around him. "You match the description of a suspect. Black male, late 30s, dark clothing. That sound familiar?" Marcus tried to stay calm. "I'm a surgeon. I just saved lives in that building. My colleagues can confirm. Please, you're making a mistake." The tall officer scoffed. "Everybody's got a story." He reached for Marcus's bag. Marcus hesitated. "That's my medical kit. It has patient notes and personal belongings. Please handle it carefully." The officer yanked it away, spilling some contents on the sidewalk. Medical charts, a stethoscope, and surgical gloves tumbled out. The second officer chuckled. "Yeah, looks like real criminal gear." Marcus's heart pounded. He raised his voice slightly. "You're detaining the wrong man. I need to call the hospital administration." The tall officer jabbed a finger in his chest. "You don't make demands here. You answer questions." At that moment, a group of nurses leaving their shift saw the confrontation. They froze, horrified. Nurse Alvarez recognized Marcus immediately. "Officers, that's Dr. Hill. He's our lead trauma surgeon," she shouted. The cops glanced back, irritated. "Move along. This doesn't concern you." But the nurses refused. Alvarez stepped forward, voice firm. "It does concern us. You're harassing a doctor who's been saving lives all night. You're treating him like a criminal for walking to his car." More nurses gathered. Some began filming on their phones. Tension rose. Marcus stood silent, his dignity unshaken, but his eyes burned with restrained anger. The taller officer shifted uneasily as the crowd grew. "Stay back, or you'll be interfering with an investigation." Alvarez folded her arms. "What investigation? He's our colleague. We'll testify." "You're wrong, and now the whole world is watching." Marcus spoke finally, his voice steady but low. "You want to know who I am. Now you do. The question is, what are you going to do about it?" The officers hesitated, caught between arrogance and fear of exposure. That hesitation would come back to haunt them. The standoff outside St. Andrew's Medical Center had drawn a crowd. Nurses, doctors, even patients in wheelchairs had gathered to witness the scene. The 2 officers, one so confident, now shifted uncomfortably under dozens of watchful eyes and phone cameras. Dr. Marcus Hill stood still, his hands visible, but his composure was remarkable. He wasn't just defending himself. He was silently demanding dignity. The taller officer finally muttered, "All right, we'll verify your story." Alvarez snapped back. "You already have proof. His badge is colleagues, us. You don't need to verify, you need to apologize." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Phones stayed raised. Some people streamed the incident live on social media. Within minutes, the video began spreading across the city. Inside the hospital, word traveled fast. Chief Administrator Linda Carver hurried outside, flanked by security staff. She immediately recognized Marcus. "Officers," she said firmly. "This is Dr. Hill, one of our top trauma surgeons. He's been here all night saving lives. You're detaining the wrong person, and you're obstructing medical personnel after hours." The shorter officer tried to regain control. "Ma'am, we received a call about a suspect in the area." Carver cut him off. "Then check your facts before humiliating an innocent man. This is racial profiling, plain and simple, and it won't go unnoticed." Marcus finally spoke, his voice carrying across the crowd. Do you know what it feels like to hold a beating heart in your hands? To save a child who everyone thought wouldn't make it? That's what I did tonight. And now, walking to my car, I'm treated like a threat. The silence was heavy. The crowd listened. Even the officers lowered their gaze for a moment. By the time Marcus made it home, the video had gone viral. Headlines exploded. Asterisk surgeon detained outside hospital by police. Colleagues step in. Asterisk racial profiling caught on camera. Nurses defend black doctor. Asterisk from operating room to handcuffs. When saving lives isn't enough. The police department released a statement calling it a misunderstanding, but the public didn't buy it. Protests erupted outside the precinct. The local news station replayed Marcus's words again and again. Do you know what it feels like to hold a beating heart in your hands? A week later, Marcus stood at a press conference. Cameras flashed, microphones extended. He wasn't just a doctor anymore. He was a symbol. I'm not here because of what happened to me, he began. I'm here because what happened to me happens to countless others who don't have cameras, who don't have witnesses, who don't have nurses to speak for them. I was lucky. Others are not. He paused, letting the weight sink in. If my white colleagues had walked to their cars last night, would they have been stopped? Would their bags have been dumped on the ground? We know the answer, and that is why change must happen now. The room erupted in applause. Within weeks, the police department launched an internal investigation. Both officers were suspended pending review. Training programs on racial bias were mandated citywide. Civil rights lawyers filed lawsuits on Marcus's behalf, not for money, but for accountability. The nurses who defended him became local heroes. Alvarez told a reporter, "We didn't just protect a doctor. We protected justice. Enough is enough." Marcus returned to his work in the operating room, but something had shifted. He was no longer just a healer of bodies. He had become a healer of truth, a voice for those silenced too long. The moral was clear. Respect should not depend on skin color, profession, or status. Every life has dignity, and when injustice happens in plain sight, silence makes you complicit. That night, Marcus had been surrounded by allies who refused to be silent. That was the difference between humiliation and justice.